think we're just gonna get into it. Привет, shalom, hello, salut tout le monde. Alright, so I went to bed, woke up, and I couldn't believe all the messages. So what a shitstorm, I guess. Alright, so let's just go over some stuff. Race mixing. So I guess like right away, I advocated for segregation and race mixing, as in you're not going to be able to force people. Like if you're not happy with them forcing immigration on you, forcing you to race mix, you're going to run into the same problem in the future. Let's pretend you build a race mix free society, which I don't know how you're going to do that. Like, I guess you're going to have to do strict DNA testing. You're going to have to make sure nobody's a Jew. And then you're going to have to set your limits. Well, how far back can you be a Jew? Stuff like this. What even makes you a Jew? Are you going to follow the Talmudic law system? Is it going to be based on Jewish law that you're going to determine who's a Jew and who's not? Is it because you can convert to Judaism too, right? So it's like you've got a lot of work ahead of you, and if you're white enough, like by the skin color, whatever. Like, I'm not sure how to do this, but I'm advocating that people who want to segregate and just be their own people, they should be able to do that, right? They should be able to not have to live with races they don't want to. And again, like, I'm French Canadian, so I grew up in English Canada, so I know that even if everyone's white, you're gonna find things to attack other people with. It doesn't matter. Like, if I had extremely blonde hair. I was white haired until I was like 5 or 6 years old, and then my hair slowly turned into like a strawberry blonde. Okay, so in the summer it becomes more blonde, and then it starts fading to red. Okay, so I guess you guys are just gonna have to set your parameters, like what, Aryan laws and blood testing and all that stuff. But my point is, people who want to live in an all-white area, you should be 100% allowed to. I totally, and I'd actually want to live there. But what I'm saying is, you're not going to control people's feelings. You're not going to control people who want to race mix. And the moment you enforce that, and you can enforce that, like, you could say in this area, we don't race mix here. You go to the next province, you go to the next country if you want to race mix. That's what I'm advocating. So I woke up to, of course, Yona, my good friend, who's always criticizing every little thing I say and do. And God bless her heart, because I get why she would react this way. Oh, are you advocating race mixing now? How very Jewish of you. All right, now, when you're as blonde and blue-eyed as her, she's like Swedish girl, pretty Swedish girl, super blonde hair, super blue eyes, living like a Swedish farmer living in like the boonies, She's like a white tiger. In the world today, I think she represents like 1% of the world's population. So yeah, a girl like her, and I'm very proud of her. I had a Ukrainian friend, a girl, and she looked just like Yona, and she would only date black gangster rappers. And you're looking at this beautiful Ukrainian girl. I'm looking at her, genetically, she is a white tiger. She is like the rarest person on the planet right now. And she wants to go and mix with Haitian gangsters. And nothing. Now, when you know Haiti and what happened there, and you've got Haiti and then Dominican Republic, you got these two countries that share an island. And the moment you cross over that imaginary line from Haiti to Dominican Republic, it goes from third world disaster to a livable country, to a nice country. When you look at pictures of Dominican Republic and Haiti, Haiti killed all the white people. They raped and killed all their French masters, and then just blacks were left to rule it, and it's a total shit. It's a shit show. It's one of the last countries you'd ever want to live in. So, that's their punishment for killing all the white people. You want to live in a black-only area? Well, that's probably what's going to happen. So I don't want to live in any African country, any country that's not run by white people, and I want to live in a segregated country. If people don't want that, go over there. That's where you can go. Okay? Now, unfortunately for us, we're dealing with an army of race-mixed children. And when I compare Yona to that Ukrainian girl, Yona is an amazing girl. She's an amazing young woman because she recognizes who she is, what she is, and she wants to find a blonde, blue-eyed European man, I think preferably a Swede, and have children and be a mom and produce more of her. Which, like I said, she's a white tiger, and that is what we need. We need girls thinking like that. Versus that Ukrainian girl, moron, who has no tribal loyalty, zero, and does not care that her genetics are going to be washed away. Now, we are luckily recessive. There's two genetics, right? There's recessive and dominant. And at least with the recessive genes, we're programmed in a sense that even though it might appear like we're losing the war, we can come back. Okay? I noticed this when I was living in Moldova. Now, Moldova is partly Romanian and then partly Slavic. They're like when you think of Romanians, they're generally dark featured, right? What I noticed when I was living there, and I thought it was an anomaly, and it was amazing because I was surrounded by blonde, blue-eyed children. Almost all the children in my village were blonde, blue-eyed, but their parents weren't. Their parents all had dark hair and dark eyes, and yet all the children, it was like I could see the genetics skipping a generation. And it was kind of like reassuring to me that even though there are dark genes, the dominant genes have taken over, all their children, all the recessive genes found each other when the children were being born. And in my village, they produced an entire next generation of blonde, blue-eyed children, even though all the parents were darker featured. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was so fascinating that it's like they looked like Romania, much darker features, but now the next generation were all blonde, blue-eyed in the village. So recessive genes are a miracle, and they can, in a sense, they are in a way designed to find each other and reproduce. So I'm not advocating race mixing. I'm saying it's something that if you try to enforce, you will fail. It's no different than they're trying to breed us out, okay, with mass immigration, and it's going to have a serious, pendulum effect, okay? And yeah, we're technically losing the race war, and we are. And that is why we have to be very careful in the sense that there's an entire generation of race-mixed children who don't know where they belong. And I can relate to that. I'm not like Yona here. I might kind of look like her, but I am race mixed. And I never had to tell anybody that I was race mixed. When I go outside, people assume I'm either Irish or German. That's it. That's what I get. Not one person looks at me and goes, "Oh, you must be a half-breed Jew." No. My name on paper, my legal name, is German. It's German Anglo-Saxon. Okay? I go out, people think I'm German Anglo-Saxon. Okay, I never had to tell anybody that I was half Jewish. Never had to tell anybody. Okay? Now, as a race-mixed guy who threw himself willingly in the middle of this battle, I can sympathize for the race-mixed children. I get an enormous amount of emails from race-mixed Jews, race mixed people, half Persian, half Europeans, half whatever, Italian mixed with Guyanese, whatever. I get every mix you could think of, and they're lost and confused because they want to fight for their European half. They do. And yet they feel like they're not welcome. They feel like they're not allowed to. Now, you pure Europeans, okay, you purebreds, you have to make a choice what you're going to do with those mixes. Because you can either fight them or you can welcome them into your ranks. And right now you're not winning the battle. They're still half you. They still carry half your genetic code. Okay? And a lot of Canadians, and I think myself included, we all have native in us too. And what happened over time is it's not that, natives were annihilated in North America, that every Canadian possesses at least 1 or 2% native blood inside of us. And a lot of those missing natives can be found within the white race, that inside of us. So over time, those white genes, as long as you govern your nation properly, you will get those numbers up. Okay? And it's very important for, and I would speak like this for any other nation. If there was, if let's say India was being genetically wiped out and there were only 2% of the population were Pajeets, they were Indians, I would be fighting for them to survive, right? No different than the white race is facing extermination right now. If we don't act now, we need to fight for the white race's survival. And white race now is a new term. All my history books never called us the white race. There was the French race, the German race, the Russian race, or Slavic races, right? You could say Anglo-Saxons and then it breaks down. You could say Germanic peoples and then it breaks down. You can say, Italians or Greeks or whatever. But now, as white people are facing this phenomenon, that we went from being a fairly large race in the world to now being next to exterminated. Now we've kind of coined this term, the white race, where we don't really care if that guy's Italian or that guy's German or that guy's Irish. But just not that long ago, we did care, and we were also divided by religion. In Quebec, you could only marry other Catholics. And that's why you have such an influx of Southern Irish people going to Quebec, and why almost every person in French Canada is Irish. We're all Irish. It's because we're also found each other based on religion. Okay, we're Northern Irish, Protestant Irish, we're more likely to go to English Canada, right? So anyways, I'm not promoting or advocating for race mixing, and I love this girl as much as we can't stand each other and we're always fighting. I'm very proud of her because she recognizes who she is, how special she is, and she wants to fight for that. Okay, versus the Ukrainian girl who wants to just throw it all away. And at this point, I don't have a lot of respect for when I see people, migrating to Canada or migrating to the U.S. When I see more Indians and Africans and Arabs who aren't recognizing that we're under threat right now and we can't actually have any more of you, right? That you are actually pushing white people to a point where we have to be racist. And we may very well have to turn to violence if we want our genetics, our family history, our genetic code, like inside of our blood. No different than the Bible. The Bible begins with genealogies, okay? And I hold the theory of the Adamic race theory, where the Caucasian people are the descendants of the Adamic race. And the Bible is a scroll made up of letters, numbers, and dots. That's what the word Bible means scroll, okay? And our DNA, okay, no different than the Bible is a book of genealogies telling history with numbers, letters, and dots written on scrolls, our DNA is also a scroll. If you look at, what DNA actually looks like, it's a scroll made up of numbers, letters, and dots, no different than the Bible, telling your genetic history, your genetic code. No different than the Bible. It's a scroll with genealogies, with information made of numbers, letters, and dots, and it gets even crazier because the Bible was written with 46 characters, 22 from Hebrew, 24 from Greek. And when you combine them, you get 46. And your DNA, you get half your chromosomes from mom, half your chromosomes from dad, and together they make up exactly 46 chromosomes. Okay? 46 chromosomes written on scrolls, writes your genetic history, and brings you to where you are. The Bible, 46 letters, Old Testament, New Testament, mom and dad come together. They're when you look at the Bible and a strand of DNA, they're the same thing. Okay? Records of genetic history written on scrolls with numbers, letters, and dots. Okay? Hope that makes some sense. And there is, in a sense, nothing more precious than your genetic history. And as we see our genetic history being erased, it's totally normal for us to wake up and then want to get violent to protect that. Okay? So I'm not advocating race mixing. But what I am trying to stop is a civil war down the road. And what I am trying to stop is having to fight all the race-mixed children that are out there that want to fight for their European race, their European half. And when you run into these pure-blood extremists like Lord Voldemort, who himself was race-mixed. I shouldn't use Harry Potter analogies. But my point is, you can either fight against them, create a whole new army for us to fight, a whole new front, or we can have soldiers on our side. Okay, so on one hand, I just want to clarify, I'm not promoting race mixing. I'm a race mix guy, and it's been a very challenging and lonely fight. And I don't advocate for race mixing. If you have two loving families that maybe can work through it together, that's one thing. I did not have that. I had two warring families, and as a result, I grew up a loner, with having both sides despise me for things I couldn't control. Okay? So, I don't wish that on anyone. I wish for you to be part of a family, to know what it's like to be loved, to know what it's like, to have parents and grandparents, and there's no fighting within your tribe. Okay? I think that is the healthiest thing you could do. Right? And other races need to realize how dangerous the situation is for us in defending our genetic history. Okay? And that things might get violent, because it does not matter if we take in 100 Indians, it's irrelevant because 10,000 were born. The 100 Indians we take in, that the 10,000, 100, it does not matter, because as many as left, 20 times more, 100 times more just were born. So you are not making a dent in their country when you take them out, but we are permanently destroying our demographics when we take them in. Okay? So the same thing goes for Africans, same thing goes for Arabs, same thing. It does not matter who we take in. Okay? And then when they come to our lands, they breed like rabbits. Okay? And we were told not to have children because of climate change and Greta Thunberg and all that horse shit. And then, at the same schizophrenic time, when they told us not to have children, they overtaxed us to the point where we couldn't afford to have children. We can't even buy homes to put children into. At the same schizophrenic time, they're filling up our countries, telling us, well, we need laborers because you aren't having children. So you told us not to have children to save the planet. You overtaxed us, used our tax dollars to bring these foreigners into our country. right? So to me, this is treason. And to me, like, if when the day comes, and the day will come, a day of reckoning is coming, whether we live to see it or not, or we're the soldiers who will die to bring it, when we get our hands on the politicians and bankers who did this, who told this schizophrenic lie, okay, then, the cognitive dissonance, you tell two opposite things, confuse the hell out of us. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is the enemy. While you send us to go fight them, you brought them here. Two opposing views that they told two lies at the same time, no different than they told us, don't have children, the world's overpopulated, we need to bring in immigrants because you're not having children. Someone needs to die. Do you understand? Someone needs to pay for this. Okay? And I know who. I think you know who too. All right? So anyways, that was way too long. I'm trying to get faster at doing this, guys. I just go on these rants. I just want to point something out too. On the left, we have this Roman, procurator, this Roman commander, and on the right, we have this Jewish rabbi. And this Roman soldier, this Roman leader, we owe the whole fate of the Roman Empire was on his shoulders. He could have voted left, he could have voted right, he could have crowned himself the new Caesar. This Roman soldier, this Roman governor, procurator, made a hard decision, and the decision that he made saved the Roman Empire. Contrary to this rabbi was so anti-Roman, he fought against the Romans in open revolution after the siege of Jerusalem. This is much later, it's a later revolution. Okay, Rabbi Akiva. And so on the left, we have a Roman who fought and saved the Roman Empire, destroyed the Jews, was the commanding general against the Jews under Titus, was there when the temple was destroyed. His legions saved the Roman Empire. He could have gone in the other direction and fought against Vespasian. He controlled Egypt and the entire Roman food supply. And this Roman saved the Roman Empire, while this Jewish rabbi fought the Romans, killed Christians, killed Romans, killed Greeks, and tried to reestablish a Jewish state after the temple was destroyed. The problem with this story is the Roman on the left, Tiberius Julius Alexander, was a Jew. And the rabbi on the right, Rabbi Akiva, the most praised rabbi in Orthodox Judaism, was a Gentile. Could have been a Roman or an Egyptian, we don't know. This is the problem. The man on the left who saved the Roman Empire, who defeated the Jews and saved the known world at the time, was a Jew. The man on the right who tried to destroy the Roman world was a Gentile. Very well could have been a Roman or a Greek or an Egyptian, we don't know. So understand that there's race and there's also ideology. Which would you rather have as a pureblood fighting beside you? The Jew who defended Europe and saved the Roman Empire, or the Gentile who tried to destroy it? Okay? During World War II, and a lot of people are going to probably get angry at me, but I want you to really appreciate what's being said. Erhard Milch, Jewish father, German, commanded the Luftwaffe, was a Jewish field marshal during World War II for Adolf Hitler. Fought for Adolf Hitler, fought for Germany, and fought till the end. And his genius and ingenuity, and I'm pretty sure if Göring was removed and you put this Jew in charge, the Luftwaffe would have been way more dangerous. I think Göring was an idiot. Okay? I think Milch was the real brains behind the Luftwaffe. And had he been given supreme power, I think the Germans would have done much better. Jewish commander Boris Stefan, General Boris Stefan. He was a Jewish general under Hitler who controlled the Russian Slavic cores. Okay, the Russian part, mainly made up of the children and the fighters of the White Russian Army under General Wrangel and General Yuzefovich. Yuzefovich too. Understand that Pyotr Wrangel, the last commander of White Russia, his right-hand man, the right-hand commander, was a Jew named General Yuzefovich, fighting alongside, bled for Russia, almost died for Russia, was a hero in the Russo-Japanese War, just like Boris Stefan. Boris Stefan is a Jew who Hitler had so much trust for, the Germans put him in charge of the Russian Slavic Corps, okay, made up of white Russians, who are actually, ironically, stationed where I live now. Arno Spitz, Jew, half Jew, was the most decorated paratrooper in the entire German military. No one fought harder for National Socialist Germany than Arno Spitz at the end of the day. When it comes to infantry, paratroopers, a man who was barred from university, did not have equal rights as a German because his father was a Jew, and yet no paratrooper achieved what he did. No one risked his life more for Germany than he did. Okay? What I'm saying is that I'm not saying, oh, well, the exceptions prove the rule. But what I am telling you is how valuable this information is. It shows you that the Germans weren't evil psychopaths. Anyone with Jew blood was killed. No. Merit meant something. What you did, what you put in, meant something. And the fact that these men existed also goes to prove that the Germans weren't a bunch of nut job psychopaths killing anyone with Jew blood. On the contrary, Hitler put Jews in key positions, trusted them with the heart of his country, and his machine and his efforts to take down Jewish Bolshevism and communism. Okay, General Boris Stefan not only was a Jew put in charge of the Russian Slavic Corps, but yeah, he fought in Russia. He was at the beginning of the war against the Jewish Bolsheviks. Okay, so anyways, so I'm just answering some questions. We're going to talk about Arab versus Muslims, because now we're going to get into people misunderstood what I said about Arabs and Muslims. So Tariq Aziz was a deputy prime minister for Saddam Hussein, a Syrian Christian Catholic, advisor to Saddam Hussein, and an Arab nationalist. When we went to war in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's not just Muslim, they're Arabs. Okay? The Palestinians aren't just Muslims, they're Arabs. And inside there are Christians. And what's happening now, I'm just going to read the messages. I made comments saying that we had no business bombing Muslims. We had no business invading the Middle East. And now I'm getting backlash because people are bringing up what the Muslims did to us hundreds of years ago and over 1,000 years ago, as if the Muslims of today are the reason. And you're not getting that these Muslims, like the blacks, are being weaponized against us, being brought into our countries with our own tax dollars, and they're being weaponized against us. Now, the Crusades, I think, were noble. I think the Europeans had every right in the world to push back against the Muslim invaders and take the war to them because of what they did. And that is where it should have stopped. You punched us, we punched back, great, stop. It didn't stop there. The Muslims came back. They came back in the form of the Ottoman Empire, okay? And they were brutal. They were absolutely brutal. I am not here to defend Islam or the Muslims. If you watch my channel, I'm very much devoted to fighting and destroying Islam. It is a wretched, evil, disgusting religion. It's a religion that promotes pedophilia. The most holy man, when you really read the Islamic sources, okay, not only are they a joke, but you're promoting a warlord pedophile, open warlord pedophile. You are promoting a guy who promotes drinking camel urine, a guy who dressed in women's clothes. There's some transgender verses. You are promoting, it's a weird, weird prophet. But for me, the Quran is a joke. It is not hard to debunk the Islamic Quran. Us as Christians have the higher ground. And we are finally living at a time now where we have our manuscripts, we can read and write. Guys, 100 years ago, only 5% of the Islamic world was literate. 5%, maybe 10 in some regions. Now are we not only all literate, us included, we weren't the most literate people either 100 years ago. Okay? More than them, of course, but guys, today is the first time in world history where we have the internet, where we have translators, where we can communicate back and forth, where we can actually engage in debate. And up until the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, up until recently, guess what, guys? We had the moral high ground. We could say to the Muslims, look what you guys did to us. But now what can they say? Look what you're doing to us now. We lost the moral high ground when it came to these wars. We did. And if you think these Muslim countries aren't also enslaved by Western banks, run by Jews, okay, sanctions on them, if you think we're not exploiting them, just like we're exploiting Africa, it might be through Jewish banks, I totally agree there, but if you think that European companies and European people aren't making money, that's what's going on in, what is it, with that guy, Ibrahim Traore. How did I forget the name of the country? Burkina Faso. This country that was exporting, I forgot if it was lithium or if it was cobalt. I forgot what they were exporting. $103 billion worth of lithium or cobalt or something like this. And yet only $2 billion was staying in the country. 101 billion of this, 103 billion, was going to the whites and the Jews. And their country is a shithole. We couldn't even give them, 5%. It should have been 50-50. Your resources, our technology, let's partner. Do you know what I mean? And because of that exploitation, that slavery, we could talk about cacao, we could talk about where chocolate comes from, and how European companies are exploiting that. Might be Jewish run, but if you think that there aren't people, Europeans, profiting off of it, you can look at the Rothschilds. Let's look at Nikki Hilton. Nikki Hilton, Paris Hilton's sister. She's Nikki Rothschild. And I'm going to tell you, her Rothschild children are only Rothschilds by name. They're also the heirs to Guinness, the Guinness fortune, now the Hilton fortune. These Rothschilds are like 10% Jew. They are Jewish by name. They are mainly Europeans. They might carry the name Rothschild, but the Rothschilds have had so many European Aryan children that they're hardly Jews today. No different than the sultans who ran the Ottoman Empire. The sultans who ran the Ottoman Empire, the nobles, the Turkish nobles, they loved European girls so much that they just kept marrying Russian girls, Romanian girls, Greek girls. Those nobles that ran the Ottoman Empire, that ran the slave trades, were European blood, majority. They were. No different than the Tsar of Russia. The Russian Tsar was like 5% Russian. He was like 90% German, 5%, he was Danish, Swedish, and German. By the time you get to the Emperor of Russia, he was German. Okay? So to call him the Emperor of Russia, was he? This German family, the Romanovs? So, yeah, I'm not here to defend Islam. What I'm saying is we lost the moral high ground when we blew up these countries. That's it. We blew up. We had no business in these countries. We were the victims up until we didn't even get paid by the Jews to go to these wars. We took Jewish loans. We then invested those Jewish loans into Jewish-owned and American-owned, Arab-owned. Guys, it's the elites versus us. If you think Saudi Arabians and Chinese, look at the bondholders of the debt. If you think that that it's just Jews, you're crazy. It's the elites. It's the Jews and their puppets. And so we took out these loans, and we then invested those loans in weapons and bombs and bullets and drones and aircrafts. We flew around the world, killed all their enemies, and now we're back home paying off the debts. And I've said this before. It's like if I were to ask you to go murder that guy for me, and you're going to say, well, what's in it for me? Well, you're actually going to pay me 50 grand to go do it. So you're going to pay me 50 grand. You're going to find the money, and I need you to go kill that guy for me. And pay me. Oh, wait, you're not going to pay me. You're going to borrow money from my Jewish bank here. He's going to give you the 50 grand. You're going to give it to me at interest. Go kill that guy. That's what we did. We took out loans. We took out the loans, bought weapons, went overseas, killed a bunch of people, and now we're back at home. Our children came home in body bags, and now we're paying off this at interest. We're probably going to pay $10 to $15 trillion in interest by the time it's over. That's how stupid we were. Okay? Now, we lost the moral high ground the moment we blew up these Islamic countries, and we radicalized and orphaned an entire generation of now pissed off Muslims to come kill us and our children. Our children will never be at peace. Do you understand that? Our children will never be at peace because of what we planted. My argument was, we don't go to war with them. We should never have gone to war with them, and I believe we could defeat Islam on paper. And this is the first time where we can communicate. We have all the manuscripts. We have archaeology. Okay? This is the first time in history where it's like the evidence we have to prove the Bible, between archaeology, having all the manuscripts now together. Do you know, guys in Russia 200 years ago, peasants in England 200 years ago, they didn't know there was Egypt. They didn't know the pyramids were real. They didn't have stelas talking about, the house of King David. They didn't have archaeology proving that there was a house in Israel called the Davidic line. They didn't know. They didn't have the records in Assyria. We couldn't read ancient Egyptian or cuneiform, and yet those people believed in the Bible. Us today, who have all the evidence in the world to prove that all this stuff happened, all this stuff is real, that there was a king, that there was a house of David, that there was a nation of Israel. The Egyptians recorded the Israelites. The Assyrians and Babylonians recorded not just the Israelites, but the kings of Israel by name. So we have evidence. And I believe we could destroy Islam on paper. We don't need a war to destroy Islam. In fact, that's how you're going to make the war worse. Again, for every 1,000 you kill, 10,000 will rise up to take their place. Okay, do you want that for your children? Do you want a never-ending war with the East? That was my point. I'm not saying not to defeat Islam. I'm not saying the Muslims didn't do terrible things to us. But we lost the moral high ground when we started bombing their children and supporting these Jews. When in reality, when you go to the foundation of Islam, the Constitution of Medina, it's an alliance between Muslims and Jews to kill us. Did you know that? That the great Constitution of Medina is an alliance between Muslims and Jews to kill us. Okay? So, I want to stop that. I want to fight that. I just recognize that if you do it violently, every one of them you kill, you just created 10 more to come kill you. And now your children are going to have to deal with the seeds that you planted. Okay? So, well, if you guys want to go play the Crusader game and go start wars with these people, you go. That's fine. But you'll reap what you sow. And those who live by the sword will die by the sword. And unfortunately for you, if the sad thing might be if you actually live, and then you're going to live to watch your children fight the war you started, and you might have to even bury your children. Okay? So, I'm not defending Islam. I'm not defending the Muslims. I'm saying we had no business to stoop to their level. We had the moral high ground. We have the truth. We have the better religion. And we pissed it all away following these Zionist psychopaths. Okay? That was my point. Okay? I'm not saying let the Muslims come in. I'm saying we lost the moral high ground. We're behaving like they did. Okay? Beasts of the field. So this guy, unsubbed. I have no sympathy for the beasts of the field. So this is a Christian identity guy. He doesn't believe in the blood of Christ. He believes in the blood of the Aryan race. So if you're not saved by the blood of Christ, the sacrifice done on the cross, you're saved by having a pure bloodline, which I doubt anybody in the world has a pure bloodline. Okay? I expect all you Christian identity guys to get tested. And any one of you who has a drop of Jew Ashkenazi blood in you, Sephardic blood in you, you better shoot yourself in the head. You better. Okay? You hypocrites. These Christians who support Muslims are the same as the ones who support Israel. Like, I'm not supporting Islam. I'm against bombing children. I'm against creating radicals to now come and kill us. Especially, do you know how we defeated the Ottoman Empire? Do you know how that happened? With the blood of Arabs. We fought side by side with the Arabs. It's what the whole Lawrence of Arabia was. Lawrence of Arabia, General, what is it? General Thomas Lawrence, is that his name? An amazing guy, a bastard, born of a noble family, somehow united all the Arab tribes, went to war against the Ottomans, they betrayed their empire for us, and then what did we do to the Arabs? We created the State of Israel and gave it to the Jews, which they never would have fought with us and for us if we did that. And I'm pretty sure General Lawrence of Arabia, who died mysteriously, a lot of people believe he was killed by the British government because he was killed. He died in he was killed, I think, on his motorcycle by a military vehicle about 1 or 2 months before he was scheduled to meet with Adolf Hitler. And he was a celebrity in England. And he was outraged that the fact the Brits betrayed the Arabs he fought with to overthrow the Ottomans, who had spent centuries persecuting Christians, invading European lands, capturing white European girls, selling them on the Turkish Muslim slave trade. White European girls like Yona were prize dollar. And so, but at the same time, the sultans and the nobles running the Ottoman Empire at that point, towards the end, were almost all European blood. Okay? So the Arabs helped us overthrow this empire. And then we stuck the Jewish state there. Okay? Because the Rothschild bankers told us to. So I'm not defending the Muslims. What I'm saying is, we're creating a monster that our children are going to have to fight. And before I die, I don't want to have to tell my children or my nieces, I'm sorry we started this war for you. Enjoy fighting it. We could have done it differently. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of problems here. Now this guy here, again, beast of the field, I mean, I have no respect for Christian identity. Look, if you want to debate me on Christian identity, let's do it. I'm here. Charlie Kirk Hoax, so I can calm down a little bit. So this is an interesting thing. So a lot of people are coming at me. I haven't really investigated the Charlie Kirk Hoax. that I guess it's all fake, people think. It's very interesting. Now, where I would say it's compelling, it's that everyone is jumped on the anti-Israel bandwagon, and that is suspicious, right? Like the fact that like all these mainstream people are just like poof, Carl Tuckerson, Megyn Kelly, everyone is just jumping on the anti-Israel bandwagon, and except for Alex Jones, and someone corrected me about Alex Jones, or he's pushing the PSYOP thing, I guess. I mean, I haven't looked into it too much. It's true, and I sound a little mainstreamy now because I believe me. Like this morning, after reading all your comments, I was a little bit confused. I'm like, if all these mainstream people are pushing the same narrative that I'm kind of pushing, like Israel's behind it, it's clearly Israel, blah 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 blah. Like, I mean, it's weird, right? It feels awkward for me to be on the same side, but this could also be the Overton window shifting, right? That there is going to be a day where the conspiracy stuff and the mainstream are going to have to align at some point, as the, what was once conspiracy that the media was spewing the opposite, and as people wake up to the truth, you are going to have this meeting point where the conspiracy guys, Israel, the Jews, Holocaust, all this stuff, and the mainstream is going to have to control the mob, which is now shifting, and there's going to be a point where it's going to match, if that makes any sense. And that could be that point. But it's true, it does feel awkward pushing a narrative. Like, I'm saying he was obviously killed by Israel. Nick Fuentes is fighting that. No, he wasn't. And then you have other people that are, other mainstream people pointing at, I believe Charlie Kirk had the support of some Israelis. And I believe that he went after Netanyahu's faction. I believe there are Israelis who want Netanyahu gone. They want to replace Netanyahu. There were like Charlie Kirk said, there were protests in front of his house for months. Israelis wanted Netanyahu gone. And I believe there were powerful Israelis who wanted to seize on that and remove Netanyahu from power and couldn't. And I believe that Charlie Kirk remained loyal to Israel, but anti-Netanyahu. Okay? And Ben Shapiro is Team Netanyahu. Okay? So, I don't know. But this, was this Marilyn Yo? Right? Excited to see this video, but surprised you don't explore the PSYOP, high probability of Charlie Kirk event, as well as Ukrainian women, especially in the light of the oddities and Masonic symbolism of wife Erica. Also, the vigils across the U.S. for Charlie Kirk, like participating in a weird ritual. CK never addressed end times, including caution of being falsely led down the broad road. I don't know. Okay, I'll agree with you there. I don't know if... I never really heard him pushing end times. It was more bless Israel and their prophetic right to the land and the fact that they're supposed to return. And I don't remember ever hearing him push end of days. I mean, if someone can post that or show me, I don't know. I can't say he ever did. He was pushing that they had the right to the land, that we need to bless them, and prophecy. And by prophecy, I join that together with the end times, that he must be pushing the end times if he believes they are prophetically supposed to be there. So that's where I push that he was like pushing the whole chosen people, you need to bless them, prophecy to fulfill all this end times nonsense, right? Now I like David's reply here. It depends on what you mean by PSYOP. Seems like he is pretty explicitly exploring it as a PSYOP and nothing else. Unless you mean completely faked and he's actually still alive, which, okay, is possible, but is there any evidence? And how would it be any different, right? The effect on society is the exact same. And that's what I would ask. It's like, okay, whether they really kill him or didn't kill him really, what's the difference? You might as well just kill him. If your goal is to radicalize the right and create a martyr and why not just kill him? Same thing with Epstein. Why not just kill him? Why fake his death? Right? risk finding him alive somewhere. Let's pretend we find Epstein alive somewhere. That's going to cause more problems for them, right? You didn't even kill him. He didn't die. You just, you might as well just kill these people, in my opinion. And when you become like a Freemason, you agree to that. You contractually agree to give your life for the cause and to, if I ever divulge any secrets, I accept death, right? It's part of the Freemason oath. So, it depends what you mean by psyop. Like, to me, it looks like he really got killed, right? He definitely didn't get killed the way they say he got killed, but in my opinion, they killed the guy. So, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I read more about this hoax stuff, it feels awkward for me when I have mainstream people agreeing with my narrative. That's a weird feeling for me, and maybe there's something more, but I don't think that they fake that, right? So anyways, I think I'm going to end it there. This is really supposed to be quick. It ends up being like almost an hour. So yeah, guys. So I just wanted to clarify when it comes to segregation and race mixing, again, there's a lot of half-breeds. Sorry, I guess your people are offended when I say half-breed. There are a lot of race mix, people that are half European, half black, half European, half Jew, half whatever, half Persian, half Jew, half Turkish, half European. And you guys, I can sympathize for them. I'm a race mix guy. I'm trying to fight for God. I'm trying to fight for my Aryan nation, my Christian Aryan nation. Okay? And believe me, I get a lot of backlash. I'll always be a dirty kike to a lot of people. When I first joined the nationalist group, guys told me that when they take back the country, they'll a good friend of mine told me he'll execute me. Actually, he was nice. He told me, I'm not going to shoot you. Because we fought Antifa together, because we fought in the nationalist phalanx together, I thought we were best friends, or at least good friends, like brothers. When he had a girlfriend, he met like a fashy girlfriend. He asked me for one of these necklaces. I had like a girl National Socialist necklace and an Edelweiss German flower that only grows on mountains. And I gave him these flowers. I gave him these necklaces as a gift. He wanted to pay me. I wouldn't take the money. I said, man, I'm so happy you found a girl. I'm so happy that, you found a National Socialist girl. Gave him all this stuff for free. This is for you, man. Please give it to her. I wish you all the best in your relationship with her. Only to have this guy, when we take back power, we're going to kill you. But I won't do it. I'll let the other guys do it. That'll be your present from me, is I just won't be the one who pulls the trigger, you coward piece of shit. So I know what it's like to have guys, nationalist guys, and this guy's greatest accomplishment was being a fucking drunk. That's it. He was a drunk degenerate. That's what he gave to the movement. Being a drunk pagan degenerate who I defended. And in the end, after all I did for him, after everything that I put out, all the fighting that I did, I was just some half-breed who will get the bullet when we take back the country. So believe me, I know what it's like. When I first showed up at the nationalist meeting, they were arguing whether to throw me off the roof. It was on this giant apartment building downtown Montreal, and they were just all talking about, do we throw him off the roof or what? So I know what it's like. Getting all the death threats. I don't know who gave me more death threats, Jews or Aryans. Okay? So I know how difficult it is to want to fight for your home, your country, and you're being attacked because you're only half, and don't let it get to you. I'd say merit and truth are all that matters. Forget these purists. You need to fight for truth. You need to fight for justice. You need to, fight for the underdogs, even if they're the innocent party. You need to fight for truth and justice, and God can only be worshipped in truth and in spirit. So these, purists, these Christian identity people that believe they're saved by their pure Aryan blood, which they're probably not pure Aryans at all. So a lot of my friends actually are Jews, and they don't even know it. And they're more Jewish than me in the sense that Talmud says they're Jews. So guys, anyways, that's my 2 cents. Sorry, I just threw this together really quickly. I literally just, kind of woke up, went through all the stuff, did my morning routine, and read all the messages, couldn't believe what I was reading, and I needed to respond. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and upload this. I got to get used to just uploading fast. I got to stop preparing everything and just go off the cuff. Okay, so I'm going to now try to finish the video I meant to do today, but I thought I'd just reply to you guys. Anyways, wish you guys all the best. Godspeed, and I hope you guys are well.